So you can see that this guy is illusionist, which means he's got 2, immunity evasion. So what I'm trying to do is I wanted him to hit my shock barrier, which he didn't. So I decided that it'd be a good idea to just run for a bit, considering the fact that I didn't get to use any of my buffs before the fight started. And I had my shock barrier on cooldown, which is one of the Thrasher's most useful abilities. So I buff up and I wait for him to come a little bit closer so I can hit the leap, because this guy isn't the greatest player. And by the time he gets near, I overshot it and jumped too soon, and he evaded it. So the way you hit a shock trap is about halfway through the hammer stun, you can switch and you can put a shock trap down. And I wasted my dispel here, it was bad. I could have tanked it. And now I'm just making my shock barrier, my hammers. You can see the exact timing of the hammer. It's pretty easy to get down. It's right about when it's halfway done. You can put down the shock trap and you can switch to a second weapon if you're playing heavy class. So he used his second evasion here, meaning he didn't have anything left, and all I had to do was get him stunned, which is kind of what I was hoping. He did my shock barrier, but instead he ran back inside. So I faked the leave and I got him with another hammer shock trap combo and baited out his decoction. I didn't bait it out, but yeah, he used his decoction and he ran back inside. So that was the end of the first fight with him. And yeah, now I just have to wait for him to try again, which he did a little bit later. So he came out again, but I didn't expect him to fight it properly. I hit him with the hammer trap combo again, and he evaded with a... Oh, no, sorry, I did not. I placed it a little bit too late. And he used his dispel, and I baited the leave, because I was expecting him... Oh yeah, he also used his self-destruct bomb potion thingy, I don't know why. So I baited me leaving, and that caused him to panic and try and fight me. He didn't have his hammer, so I hit him with a hammer combo, and he used stash to get back inside to safety. So at this point I thought, yeah, no, Thrash is not going to work, and I switched to something that I knew I could one-shot him with, which was Protector. This Protector has a Taunt Reflect combination, which is very, very strong if utilized against the Illusionist. So I waited around for him to come outside again, and yeah. What I was doing by mounting up was just making him think I was gonna leave, and it pressures him into trying to attack me, because I'm using the new set and a lot of people want it. I'm just spamming my charge button as well, because the moment he pops his head out, it'll charge him automatically. And it has immunity to all hammers, bolas, and all sorts of effects. So he came out, well, a few things he made a mistake of. He came out with the Shaman Almond effect, and he was fully buffed up, which just annihilated his HP. So I had a fight with YouTube Surge, the scammer, and he played really badly. So I got down his Dispel immediately, and I switched to that, and I could jump out of his shock trap, which is something you could do with Thrasher if you used it correctly. And something that I could have done was I had my shock trap, or I had my shock barrier and I had my dispel. Something you can do with Thrasher is if you use your shock barrier and your dispel together, if you run into somebody's shock trap, it'll stun them for 4 seconds. And I couldn't do it here. I don't know why I didn't do it. I played really badly, so there's no problem. And he had to run for his dispel. He had none of his abilities here. And here I just used my shock barrier so he couldn't use his hammer on me, which was a really good play in my opinion. So it was just chase, chase, chase. And here he uses his circle ability of the bandit, but you can evade it with a jump. I hit him with the jump, the hammer, and the shock trap. Switch to my secondary weapon, and doing a pretty mediocre amount of damage. And what I did here was I could pick between my armor and my reflection potion, but I picked the reflection just so it stopped him from doing any immediate damage to me. He had to wait a bit. I messed him up, so I didn't have to use my dispel here. I put down a shock trap just so I could stand on top of it, so it would inconvenience him a bit. Maybe he walked into it by mistake. He nearly did a few times. Here I could jump out of it because of my own shock trap. I had to see who the player was in the map. To make sure my buffs were ready. Baited out his dispel and I dispelled as well. And I ran to the top of the map. I used a blood sausage so I can recover health. And this really saved me. If I didn't, I would have died. Yeah, I used my shock barrier. I hit him with it. And I hit him one time. Put down the shock trap. And switched to my secondary weapon. I obliterated his health. And this is before he used the decoction potion. And I jumped, but I overshot it. Which is a mistake I made. It's the biggest mistake of this PvP. And I died because of it. Quite unfortunate. In this PvP, I was playing using my base, which a lot of people don't see as very good, but I did it, and it worked. So this player was playing Duelist, and he hooked me. I was playing Protector, so I took pretty low amounts of damage. Used a circle, and I hammered him to evade it, and used this spell to play aggressively. And I had shock traps placed, so I wanted him to run inside of it. Yeah, I was forced into using my dispel. There he somehow hit my shock trap. He hit that one, put a shock trap, and I switched my secondary weapon to out damage. And here I was healing the entire time. And I got him inside of my base. And something you can do with Protector is if you charge while the person puts down a shock trap, you can gain immunity to it, which is something that I used in this fight. And now that he was in my base, I saw he used this spell, and I switched to Duelist, and I fully buffed up, and I used the Shaman's Helmet, which increases damage by 25% after emoting. And I hooked him directly off the door, which means he had no time to react, and I was hitting him for about 60-70 damage, and he couldn't do anything, couldn't save himself. Just